material, it was so attractive. For example, I can cite its electrical properties, so electrons can move so fast as 1 per 300 time of the speed of light, which is the fastest speed that can a material offer. And after that, scientists discovered CDC, which was the second discovered 2D structure, and from there, the family of 2D materials was just growing. So from this material now, we can see different structures like pipettes, nanotubes, fullerenes, and many others. Simply here, I can say that this material was based off these 3 different Nobel Prizes. One was for fullerenes, the second one was for nanotubes, and the third one was for graphene, which was in 2010. So, something that we have to put in mind. So, some of us are working on the theoretical calculations, like for example, structure of band or the density of states. So, basic in the range of electronic dimension or range. But to have a global idea about field of materials, we have to cite these 4 important steps. I do have structure, synthesis for chemists, and elaboration for physicists, then characterization, and finally fabrication and applications. The science is something which is very important. Here I may mention the very important effect which is called size effect. The particles simply change the wavelength of the emitted light due to their size. And here I'm showing different, an example which is showing different lights or colors depending on the size. So the structure is one of the elements that are that is very, very important to work on. So as first step, we have to develop the structure of our material. This structure, either in the lab or by software, will take us to the next step, which is study of the properties. So we can study the properties of the material either theoretically or using an experimental process. So to do the theoretical or to run the theoretical study, there are too many codes, algorithms. Of course, some people prefer to develop equations themselves and then extract graphs from. But there are a couple of codes and algorithms that people can use. And one of the famous platforms is Material Studio and Quantum Espresso. The difference is the interface. This software is containing different packages that can allow us to do several calculations. The second step is how to make this material. There are many methods, either physical, chemical, or even biological methods. So for physical methods, simply we use to extract the atoms from the matter, then we are reorganizing or redepositing these atoms either in a thin layer or a thin film, depending on our need. And this principle is shared between the molecular beam epitaxy, the pulsed laser deposition, the E-beam, which is the electron beam deposition, and many other deposition systems. So from pieces of materials we are extracting atoms, then we are making the deposition or making the films that we are going to use. The second way is to use the chemical method. It can be either hydrothermal, co-precipitation, can even self-assembly. Normally we are using precursors and we are somehow supporting the reaction between these precursors to grow the structures we are looking for. So like here, we are simply mixing 2 molecules of different charges. They are attached to each other to form either core-shell systems, nano wires, or nanobelts, and even nanotubes. The biological method is can either use bacteria or plant extract. we can use even the tea that we use to drink as an alternative source of OH mines to support the growth of the materials. And we did several preparation using this method. So we used one plant from the family of Artemisia alba, for the synthesis of some manufacturers. So now, after making the material, we have to go to the lab to study its properties. Of course, there is a large set of equipment that can help you do. So, either to study structure, the electron properties, the optical, the magnetic, or any other property that we are interested by. I'm going to list a couple of. One of the very famous and used technique is XRD. So if I do have sort of crystalline material, so the atoms will be arranged somehow to form a sort of mirrors. And these mirrors are going to diffract the light coming from the source, and it will be detected by a detector. So I will have a couple of this in between. Here we need to put sample, and this is our XRD source. So the question here, why we are using the XRD to study the structure of material? The answer is very simple. I can't use a wave in the visible range, like the wavelength will be around hundreds of nanometers, because simply it will go through the material without bringing any information. Here for XRD, the wavelength is around 1.54 angstrom, which is somehow the length of the distance between atoms. So after each diffraction, following an angle, a peak will appear. And if I do have a very intense peak, it means simply that the growth was following this direction. The second system that I'm going to talk about is Raman and FTR. They are completing each other because some vibration modes are acting in Raman and others are not, and vice versa. So here I do have a laser which is going to interact with my matter, my sample, and it will be directed to the desktop. So each vibration is having its own direction, and of course each type of vibration mode, like the twisting, scissoring, rocking, wedging, and asymmetric stretching and symmetric stretching, is having its own or its proper energy that is going to appear as a peak, either in Raman or FTR. The other system can be the electron microscope, so either the SEM or TEM. The TEM is higher, is having higher resolution compared to SEM. I do have a beam of electrons that is going to bombard the surface of the material, and what will happen? I will be having X-rays from the sample, I will be having electrons, and I will be having the light. So each of them will be detected, and we can extract information from it. Like to obtain the images, we will use the electron beam. To have an idea about electron luminescence, we can use the emitted light, and to study structure, we will use the X-ray which is coming out of the sample. So the electron microscope can help me to have the elemental analysis of my sample. I can simply know which types of atoms are in my matter or my sample. I can even use it to measure the thickness of layers in devices, and of course to see how the material is looking there, like the shape and the size, and also to study the electroluminescence of samples. And the high resolution can also give us an idea about how these atoms are arranged. What we are seeing here as dots are atoms. And we can also have an idea about the distance between atoms. The last step is the application and device fabrication. Here I will be listing a couple of examples. Piezoelectric materials are working in the way that I'm going to describe. So I do have a material I will be applying force. This force will be leading to generating an energy out of this material. So then I will be having an electrical current. This electrical current can be used to power small devices in our bodies, like the case here. So we can use sheet of and piezoelectric material to power the device that can be used to support the beats and the pulses in our hearts. The second example is water purification. There are different technologies. We can use semiconductors like titanium dioxide to destroy the pollutants, and also we can use membranes to block pollutants. So it depends on our needs and of course the pollutants that are in this water. And we did an experience on removing the radioactive elements from contaminated water using graphene-based materials. So we were able to remove radioactive elements from water. The second example is supercapacitors. As you know, now there is a new generation of cars, so we have to look for alternative batteries that can be charged fast and keep its power as long as possible. So here, one of the families that are needed in this application is the porous materials. So the porous can now we can control their sizes to keep the items as long as we can. The other example is LED. So now the LEDs are everywhere, they are saving our energy. So even the cost now is very cheap. So for 10 dirhams or even less, we can get an LED that we can light our rooms with. And of course, these LEDs are also used in TVs and other display devices. So here we can use a range of semiconductors to make LEDs, and we worked on a project in collaboration with the University of from Sweden to fabricate an LED based on zinc oxide. The other example is solar cells. There are different families of solar cells, either organic, perovskite-based solar cells. There is a new generation which is tandem solar cells. So simply, I need to have at least 4 layers. The top electrode, which needs to be conductive and transparent. I need to have a donor which is going to absorb the light from the sun and have a certain charge and energy transfer with the acceptor. And then finally, I need to have a bottom electrode which is going to help to transfer holes from the device. So in the top, I will be having the transfer of electrons, and in the bottom, the transfer of holes. In the same way, gas sensors are working. We need to have semiconductors that can interact with gas, and there is changing its resistance, and then give a sign that there is a gas around. The new generation of displays which is containing quantum dots. So instead of having the phosphor was replaced by quantum dots, and then the resolution was boosted from 6 million colors to 1 billion colors. Of course, there are efforts to make nanomachines from different families of materials, including DNA, and there are many efforts also to develop nanorobots that can help us to treat disease, including cancer, and also to fix issues in DNA molecules. Finally, I would like to share with you this slide. So we are organizing 2 events by NanoSmart, which is one of the leading conference organizers in the field of nano. It started in 2005, and the next coming event will be in Istanbul this coming October, and the other event will be in Agadir in September 2022. And thank you so much.